Hello, everyone, and welcome to Africa Fire Mission's weekly virtual training session. My name is Mike, and I'm the programs director here at Africa Fire Mission. We're so happy you took time in your busy schedules to join us for today's virtual training program. Today, we're going to be talking about fire safety assessments and fire prevention. With a small group of us here, are going to have a bit of a roundtable discussion about this. We're going to show you couple resources available from Africa Fire Mission that might be able to help you out when you're doing some of those out in your community. Before we get started with today's training, just a couple of administrative notes. If you stick around for at least 70% of today's training, which is usually about 40 or 45 minutes, I can get your certificate of attendance for today's training. If you can't make it, if you lose your network connection, something happens, I'd encourage you to go to our webpage at www.africafiremission.org. There's a resources tab there. It's filled with all sorts of free resources available to you to take advantage of. Under there, there's a training section. You'll be able to find recordings from today's training, as well as all the other trainings that we've done so far this year. If you watch the video and answer a couple questions about what you learned, I can get you a certificate of attendance for those trainings as well. When we get finished with the formal portion of our training at the top of the hour, we'll transition into what we call tea time. It's going to be hosted by José Ngunjiri. José is Africa Fire Mission's fire safety officer, and I'm going to pass things over to him now to get us started with just a few words of encouragement.
Thank you, Chief Mike. I truly appreciate you. Thanks for always being here. By my side, I'm joined by Cyrus Kalemungorok. Actually, today I am in West Pokot. Been here since yesterday, and we've been doing a lot of fire preventions and things like that. And today's word of encouragement is really based on my visit today. Because just looking at how successful Cyrus has really traversed West Pokot County on the fire prevention matters. And it brought me one aspect of collaboration. What are the advantages of you collaborating? Because most people don't want to share the skill that they have because they use that as a power tool for them to be dominant. But when you collaborate and when you share your skill, there's some advantages. And I'm going to mention about one or two, and then I will return this back to Chief Mike. One of the things that are really, really important when you collaborate for success, number one, you get to have an enhanced problem-solving platform. Because you're in a team already. So if you are having just one deep perspective of matters, it is very hard for you to actually solve an issue. But when you bring in a collaborative aspect, where, for example, you get in Cyrus, you get that 3D perspective of a matter. Number two, you get to increase your efficiency. You get to reach more people. You get even to save your voice. You get to have a different perspective on how to do matters. And the last one I want to share is you have to, you get a point where you share responsibility. You can have one person do stop, drop, and roll, another one do crawling under smoke, and another one having do the chip and fires, for example. Yeah, and another one do a fire extinguishing. So that shared responsibility reduces that individual stress and also promotes accountability. I have much more to talk about this, but because of time, I would ask you to kindly, whenever you're doing fire prevention or even a tag team on station drills, hey, get to do it collaboratively. You will achieve more. Thank you very much for listening. Back to you, Chief Mike.
Excellent, thank you, Jose, and what some great words of encouragement there that we're gonna act out right now as we get started with our training, as we collaborate with what we're doing. So again, I invite you to join us at the top of the hour we'll have some time to talk more about today's lesson or anything else that might be on your mind. Tea time's a nice time for some networking and things like that. So I encourage you to take advantage of that if you've got the bundles to do that. If you're sharing your screen with some other folks, be sure to drop me an email letting me know who's sharing the screen with you, and I'll get a certificate of attendance for them as well. And just check your screen names there. The screen name that you're using here in Zoom is what shows up on your certificate when we generate those. So if you want to adjust that or need to make any adjustments to that, please take care of that as well. And now, sort of without further ado, we're going to move into today's topic, and just as a little bit of an introduction, we're going to talk about some fire prevention activities. We're going to talk about conducting fire safety assessments, and I think as we start this discussion, we're going to focus a little bit on doing these activities in schools and conducting some fire evacuation drills within the schools. And I think this is a pretty timely topic. There's been a bit of an epidemic of school fires within Kenya, one of the countries that we serve here, and I know probably the majority of our folks here in this meeting are from Kenya, so you know well what I'm speaking of. And so last month, we spent some time. Jose and I spent some time together. Cyrus was also with us, so we're gonna talk a little bit about sort of the work that we were doing, the importance of that. I want to talk about some of the reasons why we were doing that, and maybe some of the fears and concerns that we might have had as we started the process, and then talk about some of the successes that we've seen while we were working together, and then what's been going on since, with the idea that we can all sort of collaborate on this a little bit. And we want to see replication of this. We want to see you guys getting out into your communities and doing some of this similar work. So to get things started, Jose, do you want to start us off talking a little bit about what it was what were some of our goals? What were we trying to accomplish when we got together here last month? You're still muted there, brother.
Yeah, now you can hear me. Thanks.
Yes,
thanks
sir.
for that. Super. So last month, we really had a great time together, and in the spirit of collaboration, we got to achieve our objectives. One of the objectives that we had was for us to pass that skill of evacuation. Yeah, evacuation literally means getting from one place to another safely, and it didn't matter if it was a boarding school or a day school. The objective was passing that skill to the students. Number two, one of the other objective was, for as much as we do it safe, we pass that evacuation, we do that evacuation drill, is it safe? So we were really focused on having it safely for every child or every staff involved. The other thing that we were really looking out for is because we noticed that the many schools in Kenya they've never done any kind of drill. So this was new to them from the ground, from the start. So we were thinking of how would we teach this like to a 2-year-old? So even the teachers were involved, and we were saying they need to have a register, and it's not a register for the whole school, it's just for the class, that the class teacher is involved, for the students who are available for that day. And also in the night, available for that night. And those who are absent, what is the reason for them being absent? So that in any eventuality, we don't end up starting to look for Cyrus, for example, he's a student, And later on, he appears that, hey, that day I was home, So those are the few things that we were focusing on, and we had a good response.
So it wasn't common. We visited, we ended up visiting 18 schools?
19 actually.
19 schools. We saw, 20,000 people while we were doing this. And we found that in these schools, a fire evacuation drills hadn't been conducted in maybe 2 of the schools had done one previously. And I think that's pretty common. So I know that, from my perspective, in the Western world, that's something we do pretty regularly. Once a month in my son's school, my son's in the 8th grade, in his school, once a month, they've got a fire drill. It's so common. The kids all know what to do. It's something we don't even think about. The fire alarm goes off in the school. The kids get up, they leave. It's no big deal. As we got together and we were discussing and planning this, there was a lot of, there was some fear. You guys were nervous about conducting these drills. And it was an unknown, right? So that was something that we sort of had to overcome. Talk a little bit about what were you afraid of? What did you think was going to happen? And then how did things go? When we did, tell us how you were feeling. We did that first big drill. Our first drill, we dropped 1,000 kids out of the school in one shot. So talk a little bit about what you were concerned about leading up to that. And then how did it feel when we did it? What are our thoughts now?
Wow. I was really excited that we were doing this drill. But then in the back of my mind, when we were doing the debriefs, I clearly stated that, whoa, I am not very comfortable. A reason being was we had reference as Kenya, like a trauma, that the one time one of the universities had a drill, and it was really catastrophic because there was a stampede situation, and also one of the students threw herself from 4th floor. So for me, I made those fears and I was like, okay, are we ready for any eventuality? And I was like, oh my gosh, that is actually what held me back. And because of the skill that you people have already gone through, you took us through it theoretically. And when we did the first school and my heart was really racing, I knew that was the moment of truth, and boom, a success. In fact, I remember giving Cyrus a high five, and you guys were just casual, like, yeah, this is great. Now let's do the head count. I'm like, wait, you're not excited? Of course, later on you got excited because you see the students really happy and all. But today, for us, it was really an eye-opener. It was, in fact, I remember the point where you were advising, leave no one behind. Those are the things that, when you are under stress, you only remember yourself, you even forget your pet behind. So over here, you're like, hey, leave no one behind. So we really appreciate that. Cyrus, what were you afraid of when we actually were doing the drill? Was there any fear?
Yeah,
apart from stampede?
Of course, the way they conduct themselves outside, there is so many things that I was expecting that it may cause barriers like beds, lockers. So I was afraid.
Doors.
Yes, doors. I was afraid about that because sometimes if you can suit that African kid, it is very hard to understand and follow instructions. Of course, in my mind, I had some point think about, yes, we could be half. Some of them who can ignore the rules that we gave out and start jumping and running, and that might occur. Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
So, but we thank God, everything went well, and our students evacuated themselves safely. Yes. But my fear was about the barriers along the corridors and along the narrows that
the narrow alleys.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. One thing
So-
also I was really, sorry, Mike. One thing actually, we didn't have no injuries on students, so that was really happy for us.
So there's a reason why we didn't have those injuries, right? Because first of all, we didn't let that fear of something bad happening keep us from doing it. And I think sometimes there's a cultural component to it where you don't want to talk about bad things. You don't want to prepare for bad things. And that's something that we struggle with disaster management and emergency management, is that people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to somehow bring this upon us by discussing it and preparing for it. But I think we've seen, and I think we see some attitudes changing when we see 21 children dying in a fire, that this is something that we do need to prepare for, right? So part of the reason that this was successful is that we prepared the students for this. And it seems like a really big task. If we look at the size of some of these schools, we were in schools where there was 1,000, 1,600 students.
Yeah.
And it's, we don't have the time to go and talk to each one of those students. So how do we prepare before we do this drill? How do we prepare for that? You guys want to talk a little bit about how we did that using the method of talking to the head teacher and then passing that down to the teachers and then out to the students?
Yes, our preparation really started from phone calls. Prior to the D-Day, we had to make several calls and talk to the head teacher and give him the why, or give her the why. And we had letters to support this. We had a letter from the Ministry of Education saying that they've given us a green light to actually do the evacuation. And we also had a backup letter from Africa Fire Mission that we are here not to scrutinize the school and to make them look bad or to just frame them to the government that it's not a compliant school. We made it clear today that our objective is to do evacuations, and these are our recommendations. Maybe much later on we can give them the links. Oh, there you are. You've given the links that we actually got to use. Maybe we can later on show them what, and then what we used. Later on, after they gave us the green light, we asked them, hey, we want to talk to the staff. These are more like the caregivers of the students. These are the class teachers. These are the support staff. And we explain to them and tell them that, hey, I know you are afraid that there's going to be a stampede. But then because we had a debrief session with the whole team, that helped us as the interns to actually tell the teachers what to expect, what their job role is. As in, we are very clear. And also we affirmed them that we are here to help them and not to judge them or to frame them. Level 3, we went and gave them in the what do you call it, assembly. The teachers helped us to do an assembly. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. After being accepted to conduct a drill, actually we cooperated with the teachers. The teachers came in and say, okay, if this is what you are attending to do, we have to support you to talk to the kids, calm them, because we are with them every time. They understand us better than you.
The visitors.
Yes. Again, our language is not that scary to the learners. Just compose ourselves and talk a friendly language. So that again invites the teachers that these guys doesn't have any bad intention with the school. They're just here to deliver what they have in terms of safety, and it can assist them, or it can assist, according to their judgment, they have been saying it can assist us.
So What were you at the assembly?
Yeah.
What were the things that you were teaching the students?
Yeah, number one, students must be at fire assembly point. As they evacuate from the dormitories and the classes, they have to walk 2-2, each with his friend or her friends to the fire assembly point. And at a fire assembly point, they are not supposed to leave each other. They are not supposed to untie their hands because they have to hold each other.
What was the reason for that? For holding hands?
To make sure that all of them are at fire assembly point and all of them are at the same direction, to avoid that one can get out and goes by its own way to disappear from the fire assembly point, because others can take opportunity. Oh, because there is a fire break at the school, now let me run home because I have not been at home so many days. So that's what we have been teaching them, not to run away, and every friend to hold his friend or her friend until the manifest is out and the concerned person have done the count heads.
Good. Yeah. And also, one thing to note, Chief Mike, this thing that is not supposed to take a whole day. In fact, as you remember, as you started, it was taking like 1.5 hours. But as you continued doing it, remember we took even just one lesson, 35 minutes. We talk about it, and then the students go in class, and then we dismiss. I mean, we after we assemble them back at the assembly point, we encourage them, we tell them their words of affirmation, we give them a little bit joking here and there, but it doesn't take more than 3 minutes, and then we tell them, go back to class. It's not something that takes about half a day or something. That's one of the things that the administration was really concerned about, and they were dismissing us because they were saying, hey, this thing is going to take about 5 lessons. We don't have that time. But then we said, no, this thing is, we promise you, is going to take not more than 40 minutes. And we kept to our word.
Yeah. So as we visited these schools, we had 2 goals: to conduct that fire evacuation drill, and we also wanted to do a fire safety assessment. So we arrive at the school, we meet with the head teacher, and we explain what Cyrus and Jose were talking about there, that, you know, we'd like to evacuate all the students. We want someone to sound an alarm bell. We want the students to leave 2 by 2 to make sure that we get everyone out. No running, no pushing, no shouting. Okay, quietly walk to the fire assembly point. When you get to the fire assembly point, we want to account for all the students to make sure everyone's there. And then we ask the head teacher to get that information distributed. So, you know, they gathered a few teachers. We passed on that information and sent those teachers out to hit all the classrooms to talk to all the students. In order to maximize our time there, once that task is accomplished, the school is going to need some time to prep for that. If they've never done an evacuation drill before, they're going to need that time to prepare their teachers and their students so they know what to do. We need to take advantage of that time and do something else productive, right? So that's when we're going to conduct our fire safety assessment. And it's great, the point that the guys are making there, that we're doing this fire safety assessment because we want the school to be safe. We're doing it because we care about our community. We're doing it because we care about the kids at that school. We're not doing this as an enforcement arm of the government. We're not doing that to try to get your school shut down, to try to get your school in any sort of trouble. You know, we're doing this because we care and we're here to help. So we're generating this report. We're going to share this report with the school, and they can sort of do as they wish with it, you know. So we want to get into that a little bit. And I shared a link in the chat a little bit earlier. That link's where you'll be able to get a recording of today's class, but that also takes you to this folder in Google Drive where we put some additional materials for the classes. In that folder of additional materials, you're going to find a fire safety assessment report. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up that paper copy report, and we'll get this added to our website at Africa Fire Mission. Let me first share the Africa Fire Mission website for a moment with you guys. So you can see what we're talking about here, where you can go. So here we've got the website. Let me see. Good. Okay. So here's our Africa Fire Mission website. Sometimes these across the top of the screen here, these may be on a pull down menu on the side if you're accessing it from a mobile device. For you guys, you go to this website, go to the resources tab, and you can go to training materials. If you click on training materials here, this is where you can register for the classes like we're doing right now. The online trainings for African firefighters, when we click on that, here's our classes from 2024, here's our classes from 2023. If you follow this link for 2024, that's where you'll be able to find those additional materials, and you'll be able to find that paper copy. Down here a little bit further, you see where it says fire safety assessment, and it says enter fire safety assessment. This is what we're going to use to conduct our fire safety assessment. And if you click on this link, this is going to take us to a Google form. And this Google form, it doesn't look the greatest, right? But this is where we're going to collect all this information. And I would encourage you guys to go out, take a look at this form, and to use this, because this is something new that we've just set up with our system. But if you fill in this Google form, as when you submit this form to us, it's going to take all of the data that you entered into that form, and it's going to give you back a report. It's going to give you back a nice printed report that you can use to give to the school or wherever you're doing this assessment with. Okay, so let me pull up now. Let me stop my share for a second, and I'll pull up the sort of paper version of this form, and I'll show you the blank form, and then I'll also show you an example later on of what it looks like when we give you the form back. So let's see. Here we go. So let's share this. Okay. So here is that fire safety assessment form. Okay. And Jose, do you guys want to talk a little bit about these items, and as we sort of scroll through this?
Absolutely. My phone is a little bit slow, but I'll check it out. So when we were filling these items, for the first time, it was quite skimpy, meaning we were not giving it quality information inside. So one of the things that when you will face when you just fill up, for example, person conducting the assessment, you write Jose. When it comes out, it will come just as Jose. What on the debrief session, what we were being told by the instructors, like Chief Mike, Brad, and Jerry, they insisted, put as much information of yours as possible. So you find over there, date of assessment, just don't put August or September. Put the exact date, 25th of August, 2024. And you see over there, other participants in the assessment. If you did it with 3 people, don't say none, all right? Put them there. These are people who help to make it less stressful, yeah? And then now, number of children, this is where you say the children who were present during that drill, not the number of students who have registered in the school. For example, on that day, you are 1,000 students registered in the school, and that day there are 950. Please record there 950. So that's very, very important. That's why they said on a typical day, all right? So when you scroll up, there's the life safety aspect. When over there they say, for example, approved exit plan, including a locked door plan and plan for evacuating individuals with disabilities, you might say no, all right? And then there's a follow-up question that asks you, fire drills have been conducted, so it's a yes or a no. If it is yes, you indicate over there the most recent one. If not, you leave it blank. Now, one thing that we noticed, even as interns, and we were being advised by the instructors, was, for example, approved emergency fire exit plan, including a locked door plan. Most people don't. So don't go with a stick and a belt spanking tool and asking them, why? Why didn't you do this? You know you're going to kill these kids. And then you go out really scolding them, you're not going to get a good response. Yeah. So you need to just write. And then there's another place you can do your recommendations. Yeah, you do your recommendations. So there's still some follow-up questions that we saw this document being very productive. Is that documentation of the fire drill that was that? What's that? Is I can't even.
Is there documentation the fire drill was reviewed during the assessment? So, you know, while we're doing this assessment, do they have some documentation to prove that they've done a drill before?
Yeah. So these are documents. I mean, these are follow-up questions to help you whenever you sit down with a teacher to give them a report. Yeah. You quickly just run it down because it is going to be sent on your email. And you see over here, for example, there are many lines. For example, at the facility, address directions for the brigade issued in a visible space with the security. Maybe it might be no. Observation and recommendation regarding life safety assessment. This is where the quality of the assessment comes in. Don't just write none. Write a quality sentence. You know, for example, one thing you may advise is they might need to have a directional signages or even illuminated directional signages. Yes. And then you might even go further and say, we might need markings on the sides of the wall, you know, illuminated paint that can be used so that if it is in the dark, you can have a glow in the dark paint, for example, or maybe a bright paint like white, cream, something like that. Go in detail. And that's a reason for that. When you remember, when you're conducting these assessments, is for you to help, not for you to prosecute, right? Leave the prosecution for the prosecutors, but then for you, you are a friendly firefighter who's going there to look for the children's well-being and need. So that's actually one of the items to do that. One of the most important things.
We're looking at, do they have the fire brigade number listed in a visible space? Is it the correct number? You know, so what we're looking for with that, and then with the address and directions, you know, you guys well know that sometimes you'll get a call for a fire incident and you're not sure where it's at, and the person calling can't really give you good directions or can't really explain well how to get there. So what we're doing is encouraging these places to be sure that it's well posted. The fire brigade number is well posted throughout the facility, and where that number is posted, there's also information that gives some good directions so you guys can get there. Okay, so that's what we're looking for in those spaces. This report's also broken up into sections. So this first section here, We just sort of considered it life safety. And it's, did we plan for it? If there's an incident, can we contact them? Put some observations. This next section talks about means of egress, checking for things like exit doors. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah, so I'll leave this to Cyrus to talk about it, means of egress, and then he can elaborate more on his thoughts. I don't know if you can be able to see Cyrus.
Yes.
Super brother, go ahead.
Yes, means of egress actually that directs us to the exits. Any physical exit, for example, exit doors and gates swinging in the direction of exit egress. Yes, that tells us if the windows and the doors and the gates are swinging the direction that it is standardized due to the safety standard. Like when you are in, your doors opened out, swings outside. So in case of anything inside the room, you will be able to open the door and push it out without...
Yes. Let me cut you short, Cyrus.
Yes.
You're saying when you're in, it goes out.
Yes.
Why is that reason in regards to the children and at night? Why does it not open outside, inside, inward?
Okay. The reason why it is better for outside, it's because maybe at overnight and even day hours, something might happen inside the door and even at the home. So it will be easy for those who are inside to just push the door outside.
Mm-hmm. To avoid a stampede, right?
Yes, to avoid stampede. Number two, barriers. That door will not cause any barrier.
Correct.
Yes, the moment they push it out.
Okay.
Yes.
I needed that clarification. Thank you.
Yes. Again, this document asks us if the non-exit doors, such as classrooms doors, do not interfere. Yes, if those doors are well constructed according to the standard, as the way we said, part 1 talks about the swinging. Is the door swinging inside? If it is yes, you just have to put it yes. If it is no, you have to put it no. So that's according to the document, and that's what we normally present to the head teacher or the school manager, that this is our document talks about what we need to implement, even right now or in future days. If the windows is not clearly constructed, we still have time to talk with them. All exits are clearly marked. Yes, if we talk about the markings, we have those stickers, fire emergency signs, that you can see some direction. And those stickers telling you, hey, in case of any fire, this is the right way to go. By the marking exit, and you will see a picture of somebody getting a certain direction. So if those doors has those stickers, we have to mark it yes, because we have seen them. It is feasible and it is well constructed for that directions. If it is no, we have to tell the school, yes, your exits are very clear, but they have no marked. They don't have those markings. There is no way that you have shown, in case of any emergency at this point, you will be using this exit to evacuate yourself, and this direction will lead you to the safest area. Not every opening lead us to the safest area.
True.
So those are the things we use to talk to the head teachers. Yes, we might have so many exits, but some of them will take us to the sewerage areas. Some of them may take us to the dumping areas. Some of us will take us to the
corridor. I mean, some blocked.
Yes, blocked areas.
Dead end.
Yes, where they need to stick walls telling us no entry, but you will see an open. So those are the things that on those clear markings, we have to talk to the school and elaborate for them that it is good to have the markings, despite all exits are good, but you need to have that clear that this one is the safest for the exits.
Cyrus,
yes.
Let me cut you short a little bit again.
Yes.
In regards to those exits are clearly marked.
Yes.
Sometimes they are clearly marked.
Yes.
But you remember the other time we went and tried to open a door. What did you see? And how did you deal with that in regards to safety and security?
Okay, yeah. Sometimes the doors are marked, but you will find out that it is locked. They use a padlock, but you will see they has that emergency exit sign, but it is locked. Wires, they have used the timbers to cause a barrier so that nobody can access. And sometimes, if you can ask what is the reason by doing that, they tell you because of security. And this security card point A and point B. There is a movement of certain people at point A. We don't want them to enter the point B. Now, those you have to convince. You are supposed to convince them that yes, you can apply this at a certain point, but even you can unlock it during the night hours, without giving anybody information about those guys who are feared that they are moving around with bad intention. So that in case of any fires at night, the patron and the matron who is living or who is sleeping around knows that the window is or those doors are open. They can just pull out and the doors will get open.
Super fantastic.
Yes.
Let's continue.
So rescue windows work properly and have emergency fire escape access to. Yes, that's another meta areas. Yes, you might find out our dormitories, classes, even administration block has well-constructed windows with a lot of grills. Where there is a window and it has a lot of grills, there is no access for anybody either inside or outside. That is not a window that assists during the safety. That is just a window that it can assist to give us a light inside the room. And air. But when it comes to safety, and we have noticed that those windows are not clearly constructed according to the safety standard, we have to tell the school the reason of these grills is because of the security purposes. And when it comes to safety, it is contradicting our safety. Because sometimes, like ground floor, because we encourage the learners, in case all exits are blocked, you can use a window, but a window that is not more than ground floor. Actually, window used to be for the ground floors. Rooms. Now, this window that has a lot of grills, yes, firefighters may get in and do some obstructions for those grills to assist somebody inside. The person who is inside, it will be very hard for them to access the window to get out. So those are the things that we have been talking to the head teachers that yes, don't consider only the safety, the security purposes, but consider the safety. It is good for those grills to hang on the window that's actually the part that we open out or inside, but surely it's normally outside. Let the grills hang on those parts that it is movable outside. When you open, they just swing out with the grills and leave enough space for somebody to exit from there. So that was the one of the advisors that we have been advising. So in our document, we can just mark yes or no.
No, yes.
Yes. About the
storage and stairwells.
Yes, about the stairways, yes, stairwells, egresses. Yes, we know that stairwells are normally
under the stairs.
Yes, under the space under the stairs. So this document asks us, is there any stored products under those stairs? We have to mark it yes or no. But according to our observation to the most school that we went, most of them are using under the stairs to be a store. You will find out that there is a store of timbers. It is a store of some unwanted materials like boxes. This that is not existing or it cannot help in any way, one way or another. So those are the things that we have to convince them that this one, because here is an institution, you may misunderstand each other between you and the learners, and one learner can decide to set a fire on those products, and the fire will produce a smoke that it confuses those who are trying to get outside. So of course it will be difficult for everybody who is on top of that fire and on top of that smoke to pass the stairs. So that's another way that we have been convincing them to not store, let stairway be clear, and avoid storing anything, either fuel or combustible materials. Yes.
Excellent. You know, a lot of the some of the next questions are talking about, you know, checking for fire alarm systems. So that's pretty self-explanatory. The next section about fire protection is just going over, do they have fire extinguishers? How many do they have? So you want to just count that up. When you're making some references, you know, if they don't have enough, when this generates the report, when you input this data, it'll push back a response. It'll say, no, they don't have it. And it'll offer an action item for them that you know, refers them to a fire safety professional to help them purchase, you know, and how many fire extinguishers they should. We always recommend that there be a fire blanket that's available in the kitchen area. But I think that fire protection section is pretty self-explanatory. If you can see on your screens, I know it might be small, but on this form, there's a little asterisk next to these questions. Those are required questions in our form, so you'll have to put some sort of an answer down for some of those. This section about building services, these aren't required questions because a lot of these may not be applicable to all the buildings that you're going to be doing a fire safety assessment in. It's just simple things like, are the electrical boxes closed up? Are they properly covered? Is there exposed wiring anywhere? What's the general housekeeping? Are things pretty free of clutter? Are they taking well care of flammable liquids? Are they being properly stored? What about lifts or elevators? Do they have one? Is it functioning? That sort of stuff. As the guys said, and we'll take a look at one of these completed reports, the more information and the better you input that under your observation recommendations, your action steps, the better this report is going to look when it comes back out. And then this last section is just sort of other areas of concern. And it's for, is there anything else that you noted throughout your assessment that you want to make note of? And I want to emphasize that, you know, this isn't a thorough, this isn't designed to address every possible problem. This is something to get you started with. It's a template that you can use to get you thinking about it. It's great for a first visit where we're hitting on some of the most important things. There's so much more that you could get into. I encourage you guys, use this as a starting point. Make this form your own. Somebody's asking in the chat, can we access this? Absolutely. This document is in the additional materials folder. I posted the link a little bit earlier. I could post that link. Oh, it's right there. Let me post that link again in the chat so you guys can find it. It's under the additional materials folder. We'll also get this into our web page coming up as well. It's not quite there yet, but the form, the Google form is, and we took a look at that earlier. I just want to switch for a moment and show you when you get the form back, and let me see if this is the most, yeah, this is our most updated version of this, okay? So this form, we filled out just sort of playing with it. Our executive director, Nancy, and I did this, and you can see what Jose was talking about. This is the form that it automatically generated back, and person conducting the assessment, you know, and we typed in Nancy test, right? And so it comes back to you exactly how you typed it in there. So be as complete with your answers as you can be, okay? as it goes through there, if they answered yes, that's great. If they answered no, it says, you know, on this particular question, is there documentation that a fire drill was conducted? No drills have occurred. And then it provides you with a recommendation of that action item. When drills are completed, documentation of the drill should occur. Okay. So you get this nice form. You can print out that handwritten form. You could print that out. You can handwrite that, and you can use that if you'd like. This is a little bit more professional, looks a little bit better coming from you. You've got this nice, neatly typed form. All you've got to do is go in, enter the information on that Google form that I showed you. Again, available at our website, www.africafiremission.org. Go to the resources section. It's available in 2 different places. You can find enter a fire safety assessment under the training tab. You can also find it under the fire safety curriculum. Get into that web page, check it out. There's all sorts of good information, materials there. It's all free for you to take, use, and make it your own. But you get this report back out. It looks nice. There is a disclaimer at the bottom of it that just lets the folks know that are reading it that Africa Fire Mission ourselves, we didn't conduct the assessment, that you guys are just using this to get you started with. And it refers folks back to you if they have any questions about the report. So, you know, this is free for you guys to use. It's available. I encourage you to grab this form, to check it out. Feel free to use this. The process is automated. So as soon as you put that information into that Google form and you click the submit button, within a couple minutes, it's processed and it's pushed back out to you in this report. If you don't like the way the report turned out, you want to make changes to it, you just re-enter the report, re-enter the data back in there, and it'll push that out. It's not costing our organization anything to generate these and push them back out to you. So feel free to use that. I think it looks really nice. It looks professional. You know, it's really going to be helpful for you to go out there, give that feedback. I think maybe one of the other advantages is that it's not a government form, so it's not coming from the government. So, you know, it's not something we're out there looking to do enforcement for. Gives you some great points to look at when you come back, to do a follow-up and see how they're doing. Again, we want to do this in the spirit of cooperation and just making life better for everybody, right? We're not the enforcement arm, and you know, we don't want to be. In the chat, I see somebody says, who's responsible to do the fire assessment? You know, can it be done by anybody? Can it be done by the fire chief? It's a great question to ask. And it's something that you ought to be discussing within your fire brigade. I don't think that this is a responsibility of the chief fire officer. In an ideal world, your fire brigade would have someone who's dedicated solely to doing fire prevention, you know, and you'd have a team that's working there. If your fire brigade doesn't do these and doesn't want to be involved with doing these as part of the fire brigade, we encourage you to still go out and do these sort of individually. Contact the schools and let them know, you know, hey, I am a firefighter by profession, but I'm here on my off time. I'd just like to try to help you out and make the school safer for our community and safer for our kids. You know, it's really a program that every fire brigade should be involved with. Everybody should be doing. But we recognize that some aren't as progressive as others. I understand it's tough. Everybody's got a side hustle, right? And when you're not working, you've got a side hustle, and you know, going out and doing a fire assessment at a school on your own time doesn't pay anything, right? Monetary doesn't get you any shillings, doesn't get you any kwacha, right? But it makes your community a better place. It makes things less risky for you when you respond to a fire incident, when they're well prepared. You know, there's a value to that sometimes is bigger than money, and sometimes that side hustle you're working, you're just doing it, it's occupying your time, you're not making that much money anyway. So make this your side hustle if you can. Talk about the importance of doing this in your fire brigade with your fire chief. So a couple tools, just a quick summary of what we were looking at here. There's some tools that we shared. They're available on our website. Please take advantage of those. We talked about this sort of in the context of schools, but this assessment you can do on any building. It's designed for commercial buildings, not residential buildings, but use it in markets, use it in other commercial buildings. Getting out there, connecting with the public helps us to improve our reputation, helps us to build rapport with the community. It uplifts us all. So I encourage you to go out there and do that. Fire evacuation drills are also important in a commercial building that isn't a school, for people to know where to go, to not panic if there's a fire or something like that. So this is really important. I hope that we covered this topic fairly well, walked you through this assessment, got your mind going about how you can utilize these tools. Please take them and make them your own. Make them fit your fire brigade, make them fit your community. That's how we're going to get the best results out of this work. Thank you to Jose and Cyrus for your input and sharing your experiences with this. Thank you to all of you who took your time and your bundles to join us for today's training. We're going to start transitioning into our tea time. We're going to open the floor up for discussion and questions. Just want to wrap up the formal portion because we're hitting the top of the hour here. With big thank you to everybody. Thanks, guys, for being here. We have plenty of seats available here in the training. Please share this with others that you think may benefit from this training. Plenty of seats available. I think we can take up to 300 people in here. Thanks again, everyone. Hope to see you all again next week.